enlightenment is a journey, right? It's not a destination. Relatively speaking, it can be a destination. Like, when you suddenly grow up a lot, it can feel like you've arrived somewhere at first. You know, you look at where you were and you look at where you are and you're just like, I'm the boss. But then you get used to it and you realize there is no ceiling. I haven't made a lot of videos here because I haven't had the clarity to make it worthwhile. Mainly it's that. There is to some extent to which I'm just afraid of an audience. But mainly it's I haven't had the clarity and the courage and the discipline to do it. Because I'm basically a junkie. Like, I'm lucky. I'm a lower middle class kid. My demons are pretty tame. But they're big enough to destroy me if I don't take them seriously. And for modern people living in advanced societies who are not broke, pleasure is a far greater threat to you than pain will ever be. No, than pain is. Pain will always claim you in the end. Will come for you. I'm sorry. But I'm basically a junkie. Like, and what I'm realizing is that I've reached the highest level as a man that I can reach with this character class, if you like. I'm gonna need a new build. And it's exciting. It's scary. Like, and it's just a matter of suffering long enough and gradually what you know up here gradually sinks down into your guts and your heart. Your intellect is like teeth that's kind of like chewing on the world. And if you're honest enough in your introspection and your analysis, the shit you know sinks into your heart and becomes something you actually understand. And then it becomes potentially very powerful as knowledge. Because knowledge without understanding is sterile and empty. And this is part of the reason we're so sick as a society, because everybody's given knowledge from the get-go without initiation, but knowledge they can barely integrate. And to know something without understanding it is to be overbalanced and to think you are wiser than you are. It might be useful to think of an example here. I mean, sex is probably a good one. Like, everyone knows what sex is and everybody has a basic insight into it. But until you've like really had sex, and not just once, but started to understand it, to be good at it, even to have a child, which is why sex exists. You can't actually separate it, like, ultimately. You don't really understand it. It's the same for anything. It's the same for a job. Like, you know what a lawyer is. You know what a soldier is. But until you do that job, you really, obviously a difference between a newborn baby and someone who understands, like, a teenager who can explain to a 3-year-old what things are. That's like a whole order of magnitude above. But it's nothing compared to the understanding. And we're a society running on that. And this is where I'm at with drug abuse, I guess, and sex abuse, like sex addiction and porn addiction and computer game addiction and movie addiction and addiction to argument and blah fucking blah. Like, I'm not complaining. It's just, because I've become a kind of a good man. And it's almost like, I thought I was a good man, but I wasn't really that good. I was a child hiding from the world. But my son dragged me into it. He really did. He tore my heart open and dragged me into the world. And he almost didn't. Because, well, actually, no. I wanted to run, but I never could. Like, I understand why men run now. Like, when I created a life in a toxic relationship with a woman who emotionally dominated me, like, every fiber of my being wanted to flee. But in my heart, I knew that I was too soft to leave this kid in the dust with this woman, abandoned by his father. No. Even to think about that is like, Jesus. And my father was okay, you know. He was a decent man. It's not like triggering trauma, it's just, now my heart is opening, I can't stop it. But yeah, the things I couldn't do for myself out of love, I could do for him once I began to understand painfully, slowly, like a moron, that what I do to others, I do to myself. And what I do to myself, I do to others. And so, yeah. And then my son gets older every year, and he sees me more clearly every year. And he demands more without demanding it. This is why in some way children are so easy to care for compared to adults who demand things with their ego. Whereas kids are just like, but yeah, so it's like, he's forcing me to grow up. I don't want to be good. It was much more fun being bad. But I can see that I'm standing on a ledge that's just shrinking. And that if I don't stop helplessly seeking pleasure, I'm going to fall into an abyss, and I'm going to take other people with me, not least my son. So for all these reasons, stuff that I've talked about before is almost here. And it's exciting, but I'm very scared because, you know, the longer you're addicted, the harder it is to quit and the worse the side effects are. And I've quit and relapsed many times, and yeah, like it's so strange, the feeling in my body, in my organs, in my emotions, the mood swings and stuff. I've got my ways, I'm not going cold turkey. I'm not even trying to quit completely. I actually have no expectations. I have no plan beyond a few rules about usage. But essentially, I've just hurt myself enough and others, and the pain is now present constantly enough that is resource in itself to keep my fickle attention on the target long enough. And essentially, I do want to, I mean, it sounds so cringe to say I want to be enlightened. I mean, it's just a type of power seeking, right? But I really do believe in it. I believe that every breath we take changes the world, and I would rather make it lighter than darker. And I'm not even condemning the people who choose the selfish route. Like, in some ways, I think it's more important how you do what you do than what you do. It's better to be an honest thief than a dishonest policeman. 100%. But I can't have any more power without getting more sober. Whether I want to use my power for good or evil. Actually, if I wanted to use my power for evil, the being sober wouldn't be so important, because it's about what I'm serving, right? You know, because when you give yourself to narcotics and pleasure itself, to Dionysus as it was, and Dionysus is about a bit more than pleasure, but that's serving something that isn't, I don't know, it isn't pure love. It isn't pure creativity. And I know we can't live in pure love or pure creativity, but I want to lift that as much as I can. I'm still a mess. Like, like I start a sentence and I can barely remember how I started it. Like I have, through a process of shamanic work and crazy trance inducement, literally moved my primary analytical focus from my left brain to my right brain. But I need to integrate all this shit. The fact that I can be such, like, I'm almost turning into a bimbo, in the sense that it's just, like, I've turned off a lot of my thinking and I'm just in the moment much more than I ever was. And it's amazing to me how much that works. Like, especially at work, I'm just kicking ass. And my job is very technically difficult. But I guess I'm old enough and I've done enough thinking that I've got that intelligence baked in. So becoming a bimbo later in life is, forgive me for using this word, but it's evocative, is actually kind of cool. Because I've done the intelligence and now I can settle, because for so long I spent my life building this analytical machine. And then for the last 20 years, I've been trying to turn the motherfucker off. And drugs, especially marijuana, or pleasure, are a huge part of this, right? It's a lazy, easy way to disconnect from the system and to come into contact with being and stillness, peace. But what's really important is how you do that. Anyway, look, I'm all over the place, so this will just be my 12-minute confession. Hopefully a tease for gradually more and more coherent videos to come, because man, I got some stories to tell and I actually feel a responsibility to share them before I lose my capacity, before fate takes me early or I just wither away of old age. Because God knows how long any of us have got, or this goddamn civilization.